everyone, welcome to another Ultimate Fighter episode review. This is for Season 29, Episode 7, titled Friend or Foe, and the fight in question, which we will get to obviously a bit later in the video, is Team Ortega's Josh Rettinghouse versus Team Volkanovski's Brady Heistand. And as always, I'm going to try and break down what I can of the bits of the show, and yeah, just going to see where we end up and how good the fight was. So let's do that, as we always do. So we do start with the aftermath of the previous fight from last week, which was Daniel Argueta of Team Ortega versus Ricky Tercios of Team Volkanovski, and they're just having a good time. Like, Dan's got a bunch of pizzas, and he asks Ricky to come join him, and they split them, and they make, like, Ninja Turtles jokes, and they're just having a good laugh about it. They're excited about the fight that they put on. They've got nothing but love and respect for each other. And there is a funny moment where Ricky has a piece of pizza and like they do that arm link thing and eats a piece. That was really funny. But the best part is when he's about to leave and Daniel says, "Thanks for the stitches, dick." Like, not meaning anything mean by that, and it was absolutely hilarious. And I'm really liking the fact that those two don't have any bad blood. And yeah, last week was a great fight, and it's nice to see them both happy about it. So yeah, just really enjoyed that. After that, we go into a hot tub scene with the two fighters for this episode, Josh and Brady, and they're using the hot tub to cut weight, and they're just having a talk because they hadn't really met in a while by that point, and they were saying about how they used to be training partners and they're still really good friends. And they never even like sparred, like fighting sparred. They did some grappling and wrestling stuff, which is technically fighting, but they never did striking, which I find quite interesting. So they probably didn't know what each other was like, and obviously they found different gyms and different partners, like training partners since then. And yeah, also Brady is a firefighter and Josh is an accountant, and they are both from the Spokane area of Washington, so they are quite close, and it's nice to see that they're really good friends. As for the training prep, it is kept sort of fairly simple for them both. Like, Josh is more experienced. I think he might be the oldest fighter in the house. It is established that Brady is the youngest at just 22, which is goddamn sickening. But Brady's main focus is to, the main focus, according to Volkanovski, is for Brady to come in explosive, like, use his reach especially because his reach is a little bit better, move in with his strikes, be a bit more dynamic, and just push forward and keep the pressure on. Whereas Josh's plan is to sort of try and keep standing if he can, be a grinder if he has to be, because he is a good wrestler, and he's got about 9 years of experience, and also about roughly 4 times as many fights as Brady does, so yeah, it is a quite simple plan for them both to just do that. And even at the weigh-in, they have a bit of fun with it, you know. There is a point where they're sort of met in the middle, and the person who does the weigh-in does specifically tell them not to touch each other, and I think Josh specifically says, "Don't fucking touch me," and they're just having a laugh about that. Obviously they're like, "Hook it out" afterwards, so yeah, I don't really have much else to add besides that, though. We're just going to move on to the fight. Not a lot else happened in this episode besides those specific things, so we're just going to move on. And we get to the fight itself, and while the two do have respect for each other, Brady is, yeah, he immediately starts pushing the pace. He starts with a really good 1-2 combo and goes for a takedown, and he really tries to grind Josh down. He does eventually take Josh's back and go for a rear naked choke. He's sort of got the body hooks in, and for the most part, round one is very much like this. He's sunk in as deep as he can get with the rear naked choke. He doesn't submit Josh, who manages to fight the hands off really well, but he's still in a very perilous position. And I believe at some point he does eventually manage to get up, and he even lands a good couple of takedowns of his own in round one on Brady. But round one, in my opinion, is all Brady. Like, even when they're standing up, his striking is a little bit better. He's a bit more fluid on the feet. His takedowns are a lot better too, and he does go for a good submission attempt really early on. I think Josh tries to sink in a triangle near the end of either round 1 or round 2, I forget which. But yeah, round 1 is firmly in the side of Brady, in the side of Team Volkanovski. Brady is, you know, a lot more explosive. His takedowns are landing a bit more for him. He tries to initiate the clinch a bit more to make it more his fight, and it does work for him. So yeah, Josh isn't completely hopeless, and his wrestling is still really good, but Brady's is damn good. So yeah, round 1 to Brady. Round 2 sort of starts the same way. Brady tries to keep it standing, and he lands some good shots. Then he goes for a takedown, and does sort of get it on Josh, who was warned at the, like, in between rounds 1 and 2 to not keep grounding the cage so much, because Chris Ianni, the referee for this fight, had spotted him doing that. And yeah, he was sort of doing that a fair bit. but, you know, he's taken down quite easily again in round 1. But Josh manages to get up a bit easier this time, and they're in a clinch position, and he lands a massive knee on Brady, and for a big chunk of round 2, Josh takes it. Like, he's going for massive shots, he's keeping pressure on Brady, he's landing some really goddamn good takedowns, just like chucking them around. Brady does eventually manage to get a takedown of his own near the end of round 2 and like keep it his fight because he needs to survive basically by this point, but round 2 is all Josh. Like, that knee opened up so much, and not just Brady's nose, it did bust his nose open and cause him to bleed a lot, and Josh is like going for it as well as he can. He's obviously a bit fatigued because he was ground down quite a lot by the takedowns in round 1. So yeah, it is a slight bit more back and forth, but definitely way more in favour of Josh, and he definitely takes round 2. As good as Brady's wrestling was, like, that knee definitely sent a message to him, and he was quite wobbly throughout the round, but Josh kept sticking in with really good jabs, really good uppercuts, good kicks there if he needed them, and he does take round 2, and this fight, much like last week's one, does go to a 3rd round, so we're going to talk about that one now too. But yeah, round 1 in favour of Brady, round 2 in favour of Josh, round 3, well, here we go. And then we get to round 3, and Josh is actually opening up with some strikes this time. Brady is not rushing him as much. They do sort of share like a good sort of handshake thing near the start of the round, but after that Josh does go for a lot of really good strikes, and he initiates quite early as well. He lands some really good uppercuts, really good jabs, much like he did in round 2. However, Brady's trying to push for the clinch. He's not using his strikes as well to get in, he's only using them on rare occasions. But he tries to go for the clinch, and as he does, his head accidentally bumps Josh's, which that opens the coat above Josh's eye and causes it to bleed. And as Josh is wiping some of the blood away from his eye, Brady, that's his name, goes for a takedown, and I thought that was a little bit cheeky. I mean, they're still friends after the fact, thankfully, but goddamn, that was a little bit cheap, just a tiny bit. I mean, still really smart advantage taking, but it, you know, and it's nowhere near as bad as that Colton Smith thing he did at the start of the season of Ultimate Fighter that he won. But it was a weird thing, and I'm not sure I was a huge fan of it. However, yeah, Brady managed to secure the takedown and very much controlled the majority of round 3. He kept Josh down. This was roughly about the 1.5 minute mark in, by the way. I've realised I haven't done a lot of really good time stamping with this episode, but you just have to take my word for it. But yeah, Brady goes for a takedown, and he's able to keep Josh on his back a lot in this fight. He's not going for as many submission attempts, but he's laying some really good ground pound. There is some pretty decent grappling exchanges, but it is mostly Brady who is keeping the pressure on Josh, and he knows that he's got to be sort of like a human blanket, because I get the feeling that he knows he lost round 2, and he needs to do whatever he can to take the fight back. And he does. It does take some doing to get there, but he does, and he goes for a good couple of submission attempts, isn't able to fully lock anything in. There is a good moment where Josh does manage to stand back up and tries to go for a guillotine and try and keep it like sort of low to counter the takedown, but Brady eventually gets another one, and they do find a way to roll to the middle, and there is a great moment near the closing seconds of the fight where it looks like Josh is about to escape, and he tries to roll over onto his back, but Brady stays with him, flips around, and gets like, not top mount in full guard, I almost said top mount, and eventually he sort of stays there, lands a fair bit of ground and pound, but eventually the horn sounds and the round is over, and they go the distance. And Brady gets the win by split decision, which I think is absolutely fair. I think he did enough to win it. He definitely took round 1 and round 3, excuse me. Josh certainly took round 2, and Josh did have control at first in round 3, but eventually Brady managed to get the takedown and keep him grounded. And to be fair, it was a very exciting back and forth fight between the two, and they're still friends. You know, they had a lot of respect for each other, but they both went for it, and there was a fair lot of exchanges, and Brady just came out looking a lot better. I mean, with him being such a young fighter as well, like the youngest in this competition, he's still got a lot to learn, which I've always admired that about younger fighters. Like, they still have a lot to learn, and they're aware of that fact. And also, Brady and Josh are just both really nice blokes. So yeah, really glad that this fight was as good as it was, and as opposed to the more sort of technical war and the much better fight that Algueta and Tercios had last week, this was a more grueling and grinding brawl, but it was still an absolutely entertaining fight, and I recommend you go and seek it out for yourself. Go and watch this episode in general. It's a really, really good episode. This was a good fight, and we're 4-3 now to Team Ortega, and part of me secretly hopes that the last middleweight fight, which is between Miles Hunsinger of Team Ortega and Gilbert Urbina of Team Volkanovski, goes to Urbina, because I really want a 4-on-4 situation for both teams. I think that would absolutely be flippin' dope. But yeah, that will about do it for this episode review. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a really good episode. I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of really memorable moments. It was just really good all around, and both fighters definitely showed a lot of heart, and really happy that Brady won the way he did. Split decision seems about right. That's a very, very fair decision to make. I'm looking forward to the next one as well. As for me, next thing you'll see me for will hopefully be Music of the Week tomorrow, because I've been very lax on my album reviews this week. I've only done one a day. I should be able to get one done soon, and then I can have like that sort of like scripted, and then I'll do the video for that tomorrow, I'm hoping. Also, I'm going to try and get the PBW vs ABW parts up after this is uploaded, so yeah, it's going to be a bit spammy for a couple of days. And I'm not just saying that because it's bloody warm right now, so that's what, no one says the weather's a bit spammy when it's hot, do they? But I do now, apparently. Anyway, next thing you'll see me for after Music of the Week might be a Friday Night Review on Sunday if there is one to do, and then at some point in the week after that, more PBW vs ABW, and the Caravan Palace stuff for backtracking. I don't know what am I doing with my head. So, expect that to come, and I'll see you all for whatever the hell is next, and as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome.